It costs more per pound than gold. Ancient Egyptian medical papyri dating to 1550 BCE document its use, making it one of the oldest recorded spices in human history. A 2011 study in the Avicenna Journal of Phytomedicine identified over 150 volatile compounds locked inside its microscopic threads, each with distinct biochemical properties. Roman emperors had it scattered across palace floors, not as seasoning, but as a declaration of absolute power. Merchants in medieval Venice faced execution for adulterating it. Wars were fought over its trade routes. Entire regional economies rose and collapsed around its harvest. Yet the plant that produces this substance is almost insultingly small. It grows in ordinary soil. It survives frost. It asks for almost nothing. And it can grow in a pot on a windowsill. That plant is Crocus sativus, and what it reveals about the price of scarcity will change how the word expensive sounds. Crocus sativus does not exist in the wild. It is entirely a product of human cultivation, a sterile triploid hybrid, propagated only by corm division. Botanists trace its origin to the eastern Aegean, likely selected from the wild species Crocus cartwrightianus, before 3000 BCE. Every saffron crocus alive today is a genetic copy of that original selection. Not one has changed in 3 millennia. The plant refused evolution. It simply endured. Ancient Minoan frescoes on the island of Thera, dated to roughly 1600 BCE, depict women harvesting saffron flowers in elaborate ritual scenes. This is not metaphor. These are documented archaeological records. The flower was sacred before most modern civilizations existed. Persia cultivated it at scale. Greece used it in burial rites. China imported it along the Silk Road as a medicinal luxury. The empire changed. The flower did not. 1 pound of saffron requires between 70,000 and 250,000 hand-harvested flowers. Each flower produces exactly 3 stigmas. Each stigma must be removed by hand within hours of the bloom opening at dawn. The harvest window lasts approximately 2 weeks per year. This is why the price exists. Not because the plant is rare, not because the soil is exotic, because the labor is brutal and the timing is unforgiving. Industrial agriculture has no answer to this problem. There is no machine that harvests a saffron stigma without destroying it. Every attempt at mechanization has failed. The flower wins every time. And this is the crack in the wall of scarcity. Because if the labor is the cost, and the labor is yours, the equation dissolves entirely. The color comes from crocin, a water-soluble carotenoid of extraordinary potency. A single gram of saffron can color 40 liters of water a vivid gold. The aroma comes from saffronal, produced when the stigma dries and its precursor compound breaks down enzymatically. The bitterness comes from picrocrocin, the glycoside that gives saffron its characteristic edge. These 3 compounds work together to create something no synthetic dye has replicated. The color is not just visual. It is chemically alive. Ancient Persian dye records from the Achaemenid period document saffron as the preferred colorant for royal textiles. Not gold thread, not indigo. Saffron thread. The robes of Buddhist monks have been saffron-colored for over 2,000 years. Not because of tradition alone, because the color does not fade easily under sun. The chemistry was understood long before chemistry had a name. Iran produces approximately 90% of the world's saffron supply. The Khorasan province alone accounts for the majority of global output. Spain is the second largest producer, though much of what is marketed as Spanish saffron is Iranian saffron repackaged after import. This is not a secret. It is a documented and largely unregulated trade practice. Afghanistan, India, Greece, Morocco, and Kashmir produce smaller but historically significant quantities. Kashmiri saffron, grown at altitude in the Pampore region, is documented as among the most aromatic in the world due to specific soil mineral composition. The terroir of saffron is as complex as wine. Altitude, drainage, and corm age all affect the concentration of crocin. Industrial monoculture flattens these distinctions. It trades nuance for volume. The result is saffron that meets the price point but not the standard. Crocus sativus corms can be planted in containers as small as 20 centimeters in diameter. The plant requires well-drained soil, full sun, and almost no irrigation during its summer dormancy. Corms are planted in late summer, August or September in the Northern Hemisphere. Flowers emerge in October and November before the leaves fully develop. This sequence is unusual among bulb plants and frequently surprises first-time growers. After harvest, the corms multiply underground. A single corm produces 2 to 5 daughter corms per season. Within 3 to 4 years, a modest planting expands without any additional purchase. The harvest requires no tools, no chemicals, no infrastructure. Just attention, timing, and early mornings in autumn. The plant asks only to be remembered. The global saffron market was valued at approximately $1.06 billion in 2022. Projections estimate it will exceed $1.7 billion by 2030. This growth is driven not by new cultivation, but by rising demand against a supply that cannot scale industrially. The bottleneck is permanent. Every gram sold at retail represents labor the market has priced as scarce. Yet agronomic research from institutions including the University of Vermont Extension confirms that small-scale saffron cultivation is viable in most temperate climates. The knowledge is public. The corms are legally available. The barrier is not botanical. It is the assumption that expensive things must remain expensive. History disagrees with that assumption. Every spice now sold cheaply in bulk was once a luxury reserved for courts and caravans. The price is always a political choice, not a natural law. The harvest of saffron has not changed in 5,000 years. Dawn, the flower, the 3 threads, the hand. No algorithm has improved it. No corporation has automated it. The plant has outlasted every empire that traded it. It outlasted the Persians, the Romans, the Venetians, and the colonial spice monopolies. It is still here, still blooming in October, still coloring the world gold. And it will bloom in a pot on a balcony with the same indifference it showed to ancient palace gardens. The scarcity was never in the plant. It was in the distance we placed between ourselves and the soil. Grow it, harvest it, reclaim the arithmetic.